Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we're going to officially call the May 28th school board meeting to order. Please join us for this flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. The mission of the Pioneer School District is to educate each student to the highest levels of academic achievement and prepare students to succeed in life. The vision of the Pioneer School District is high levels of learning for all, every child, every day. I know that we do have one registered request to address the board. Yeah, you were here for that one. Do we have others as well? Okay. So the board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of involving members of the public in its meetings, and will allow, oh. Yeah. Is that better? I can move it closer. Okay. Excuse me, sorry. And will allow 3 minutes per person for public comment. The board is not obligated to respond to questions or challenges made during the public comment period, and the board's silence does not signal agreement or endorsement of the speaker's remarks. The board chair may terminate an individual's statement when the allotted time has passed and may interrupt the speaker to require the same standard of civility that the board imposes on itself. Examples of uncivil comments include comments that are libelous or slanderous, are unwarranted invasion of privacy, are obscene or indecent, violate school district policy or procedure related to harassment, intimidation, bullying, or discrimination, incite an unlawful act on school premises, or violate a lawful school regulation, create a material and substantial disruption of the orderly operation of the board meeting. And that is it. You're up.
Thank you so much.
Would you use the mic, please? Because I'm hearing impaired and I can't.
Right over here.
Thank you so much. Hear me?
Might need to get a little
Lift it up a
closer.
little bit. Where's Chris?
A little bit better? No?
Closer.
Sorry, I'm not technically savvy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it working? Okay. Thank you so much for listening to me. I have my questions a little bit better articulated today.
Yeah, here.
Okay.
All right.
It's like,
You hear all the noise?
yeah, but not my voice.
Put it upside down.
Sounds good. Let's get you a different machine. Yeah, the shape is. Spark behind your mic. Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you again so much. I have my questions, concerns a little bit better articulated than you had today. No emotions are really moving. There's a lot of changes going on. So I hope to just kind of stay to the point, get my questions and concerns out of the way. I understand there's no answers that need to be given. I can do that better. Okay. So a couple of the just top concerns that I had personally, as far as like my own personal kids go, and just the stuff that I see when I'm volunteering in the class. My first one is the parents that are staying. I'm wondering how we're determining where they are most needed. I know that a lot of the teachers that we would talk to would think that their para, their support in their classroom is going to be the most needed. So I was just wondering what, criteria we're looking for as far as where the parents that are staying, where they're going to be placed. I know physical safety is a huge concern. For me, my kid, it's less physical safety that I'm concerned about. It's more educational safety, I guess you could say. So that's my first thing. And since we are taking the safety from the that some of the paras do provide. I'm wondering what policies might be put into place to protect the kids in their education. I know we were talking about how we can't remove a kid from a classroom, and that's a lot of concern for a parent. We're kind of having to interrupt the whole class, take the class out, things like that. And I'm just wondering if there's any additional policies that are maybe being thought about or put in place that could maybe give a little bit more physical security, educational security to us as parents and to the kids. You know, my next thing with on that topic, I know that we had a pretty high budget for curriculum. It looks like it went from zero to about $240,000 for curriculum, and while I love that, when I go to class, they're implementing this new CKLA curriculum, which I think is fantastic, but I think it's kind of hard for these teachers to adopt and implement a new curriculum when we're losing classroom support. I already see how the teachers are struggling to implement, you know, these new curriculums that they're not totally familiar with and stuff like that. If we're using these classroom support, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult even, and I'm just worried that our educational expense priorities aren't aligning with our professional and our personnel decisions, making our educational expense decisions I feel like are maybe not aligning totally with our personnel decisions. We gotta have the classroom support in order to keep the kids' education. Another thing that I wanted to touch on was, okay, so I know we're shifting a lot of the front office around too. That was another thing I wanted to touch on. As far as like the parent educators and that side of things go, I know that they provide so much support, but also the front office. I know I have personally been in the front office and I'm talking at the elementary school, when Izzy is on the phone, Jesse is also on the phone with the parents, so-and-so's having an unsuccessful day today, we're not sure if you want to come get them, but what we should do, Julia's trying to navigate another child with Kaylee, stuff like that. Meanwhile, they're trying to check me in, get me my badge, sign me in. There's always a lot going on in the front office, and I know with eliminating some of that, it's going to really be stressful on them too. Just kind of wondering how we're going to tackle that. And then I know we touched also the other day on some seniority things though. I think I'm wondering personally how that is done as far as like the people who are being moved from the district to be principal and the people who have established relationships with the kids are the ones being let go. Not that that's not how it's supposed to go and how the contracts are written. I'm just wondering how those decisions are made. And I know salary is a hot topic. It's not something that's easy to talk about, but I'm wondering if those salaries are being adjusted accordingly. I know they're going to be doing more jobs when they're transferred to accommodate this salary. I think those are just the questions that I personally have as far as the budgetary concerns and things like that, where the money is being spread. Let's see. Give me for a second. Yeah, and again, you know, salaries are hard to talk about, but our governor is making about $190,000 a year, and I think that that's hard to compare the two, obviously, but I just feel like with that knowledge and just, like I said, I'm sure we'll go over this today, you know, respective districts and stuff like that. It's hard for me to grasp how our governor is making so much or so that much, and then we have our district maybe more, similar things like that. And my whole thought process is not to attack anybody's salary. It's just, I'm trying to find out, just be an advocate for the kids, wondering how this trickles down, if it's possible for these things to trickle down. Is it possible to spread that down a little bit? I don't know how exactly that works. I know you guys decide salaries and stuff like that. There was, you know, some comments of, the IPD and stuff like that. Is the IPD something? I know the actual IPD varies from the projected IPD. Is the extra percentage something that could trickle down versus giving raises to the higher up? And is that something that is able to trickle down throughout the district to our teachers, stuff like that? Let me see. So, sorry for being, I have a lot of instructions here. I think that's really most of what I have to say. I really, I heard a Bible verse this weekend, and I hope it's okay. It's really important for me to share it with you guys. It's from Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 to 15, and it says, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights up a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house." And I really hope that as parents and as districts, as educators, that we can be the light to our proverbial house, to our teachers, to our kids, and let the love trickle down a little bit. I really feel, I know there's been a lot of, oh, they care, then we need to personally all be sacrificing something to, I feel, to make sure that these kids are not put in physical or educational jeopardy at the end of the day. And I really think that that's all of our goal. Is really just to make sure that at the end of the day that our kids don't suffer. I personally just moved here less than a year ago. I moved here from Phoenix. It's a rat race. The great thing about it there is that we have great schools. We have great educators. There's a ton of funding, but we don't get the love, the community that is in a small town. That's why we kept our house down there, moved here, and I moved my family here. My husband still goes down 10 days a month to work and provide for our family. We bring a lot of that money here. We bring a lot of our values here, and I love the values that are here. And I hope that we can be a reflection of what people think a small town should be. That's really it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughtful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you listening to me.
Oh, I've got it, right here, registered. Thank you. Do we have any additional public comments? Okay. Next up is any changes or additions to the agenda?
Yes, I have an addition to the consent agenda. I have received Chris Bishop's resignation letter dated May 20th and will be effective June 28th of 2024. I'd like to add that to the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any additional? Up next is approval of the regular meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda?
I move that we approve the regular agenda as written.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed, so the motion passes. Up next is approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed, that motion passes as well. That takes us to presentations. So I believe up first we have the 5th grade team from the elementary school.
So I actually
I love your t-shirt.
have an invitation to our Wax Museum for all of you guys. So it's coming up, not this next Monday, but the Monday after on June 10.
Thank you.
And that's really what I'm going to be talking about today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Autumn Golden, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at the elementary. Sorry, I used to like project these. I actually went to Pioneer as a kid, and one of my most memorable experiences was the 6th grade living wax museum. And I remember back when I was here, it was like ancient Egypt themed. So when I came back to Pioneer, it's something that I really wanted to bring back. Last year, the students were able to write biographies and speeches and dress up as their chosen influential person. And we took the entire cafeteria, they made backgrounds, and they got dressed up, and it was really great. The community came in and supported them. So this year it was something that as 4th graders, they were looking forward to. So as 5th graders, they're super pumped up for this process. We have a wide variety of people, ranging from Taylor Swift to Elvis. You have people who created anime like Ichiro Oda, and different country singers, artists, Leonardo da Vinci. So June 10th from 12:45 to 1:45, we'll be in the 5th grade wing of the pod and also outside. If you guys want to come and show support for the kids, they've been working really hard and we're really excited. So we'd love to see this.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, up next we have the district highly capable program.
I'm going to be presenting for Brenda Roth, who is our highly capable coordinator. But she was not able to be here today. And so she has asked that when June comes, the end of June, and she will be available and would love to give you, she has actually an amazing slideshow presentation that really deeply dives into the highly capable program. And so I'm not going to steal her thunder, but I do want to give you, as well as everyone in attendance today, a little bit of information about our highly capable program, because I do believe it is an action item that you have for this evening. So you should have, and actually everyone would have received in 2nd and 5th grade, I believe all parents would have received this Welcome to Pioneers Highly Capable program. This is a program that we actually receive grant funding for, and this allows us to screen out what is considered by the state to be talent development. Now, in the past, for a student to be qualified for a highly capable program, they had to score in like the top 90 percentile of testing. But we realized with our emphasis on equity, and looking at students show talent and promise in many different areas, that there are more than just somebody who scores in that top 90% academically, what that might look like. And so the Gifted and Talented program, the highly capable program, has now evolved to include the top percentile of students in identified groups. So you might have students with IEPs who are identified as the top percentage. You might have multilingual learners who have a language barrier to hurdle, and it may not show all the time in what we're seeing in the classroom, but we know that those students have much talent and promise as well, even though language may be a barrier. So when we're looking at identifying those students, a test goes out. Students are identified, I believe, and tested in the spring. We just tested this last time in the spring. And then they take what's called the COGAT, which is a cognitive assessment that is with parent permission. If a student is not in 2nd or 5th grade, their parent can request for them to take this test as well. When the information comes back, the high coordinators will go through and identify students, not just scoring in those top percentages, but also students from different groups as well. So I wanted to go through a couple of things to pull out in that action plan that the board has, and you will find that in your agenda as well. So there's 3 main categories of where we are now, what we want to be, and the steps that we're going to be taking. That's in our action plan. So where we're at now, we are currently testing our 2nd and 5th graders, as well as any parent who does request that testing. We also have some clustering that is happening. The idea of the clustering is to allow students who maybe have the same thinking type of process to have opportunities throughout the day to gather together, to bounce ideas off of one another, work with one another, and things like that. So we have opportunities for students to do that, possibly at, like when students do a walk to read, you might see high readers reading with one another. And also at the middle school level, we do have a highly capable advisory. And we offer some advanced classes in math as well at this particular time. We are also now following the new criteria that I have talked about as far as anybody in specific categories like with IEPs or multilingual learners. That actually is not, it is being piloted right now, and then the state will be requiring that for every school district to receive their grant funding for that. Where we want to go in the future is that we want to be able to screen, and we aren't doing this because we do have to fund all of those COGAT tests, we currently want to actually work on screening every new student who comes into our district. So instead of waiting for those students to hit second or fifth grade or for a parent to give us permission to test, we would like to screen every new student who enters the district. That's a big step that we want to be doing moving forward. And then steps that we're taking to get there as well is we would like to offer some additional professional development for teachers. We have several teachers who have gone to a WATED conference, and that has been paid for through this highly capable grant funding. We have, because we've sent many teachers, we have many teachers who are now well versed in how to structure specific lessons that really are tailored towards advancing students. We also want to increase the family engagement through use of surveys, through the use of any sort of feedback or engagement as far as being part of the classroom as well. We desperately would like to have more course offerings or advanced opportunities. I'm not sure, for speaking just as a middle school principal, what that might look like in the elementary level, but I know at the middle level, we are working and in conversation right now with the high school to find out what it takes to receive high school credit for classes. So an example of this would be pre-pandemic, our algebra students always received algebra credits to go to the high school. This year, we have an algebra class. We contacted the high school and said, what could we do? Because it's been many years since our kids were able to get that. And they said, don't worry, we'll come down. We're going to test the kids. Anybody who passes that test, they're automatically going to get high school credit. So, you know, we can work with our high school. We can work with the state to offer advanced credits where we're looking at potentially students having the opportunity to earn those credits and work ahead. But we also want to just make sure that students have opportunities for advanced learning, not just our students who are qualified through the Highly Capable program, but every student should have an option to take classes that would advance their learning. Now, is this beneficial for our highly capable learners? Obviously. But when we're talking about this, we hope to see that these advanced classes that we're going to be looking at are populated with students who may not be identified, but they have a passion or they have an extreme interest in that particular subject as well. And then finally, we are also looking at giving additional support for students who have been identified as twice exceptional. Sometimes we see students come through and they have extreme behaviors in our classrooms. And when it comes right down to it, we look at some of these very extreme dysregulated behaviors and we recognize that students may be bored. Students may, they may not be able to articulate the thought processes that are going through their heads. And just as we would offer support for our students with IEPs or 504s, looking at offering those additional supports for our students who are incredibly talented and gifted in certain specific areas, but you need that additional support, helping with their social and emotional skills, and also helping get over whatever hurdle it might be so they can show that academic output. I think that's about it as far as our highly capable. I believe that Brenda has put together all of the additional information that you can look at in there. I will do my very best to answer any questions that you might have. Mr. Davis or Mr. Bishop might be able to help with some of that as well, but I look forward to hearing the full presentation in June.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us about what it costs to do the codex test and why it costs that amount?
Yeah, I don't know that information actually. Chris, do you know how much a COGAT test is offhand? No, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I'm very sorry. Again, Brenda is going to be the expert on this.
But
She's
it's
going to know.
not just the test, it's scoring it, confusing it.
Yeah, exactly. So you buy the actual test and it's per student that you purchase the COGAT test for, which is one of the reasons that we don't do it at every grade level.
That's right.
Yeah, and so you purchase the individual test and then there is the time to score it and give all of that information and gather that data. So.
That's all done out of district, right?
No, that is within district. There is a norm reference that is used for all of those tests. And then we have a highly capable coordinator at the elementary school level, that's Vicki Rance this year. And then Brenda Rupp is the person who runs that at the middle school. And so both of them work together to help to score those tests using the, the norm referencing that they have.
We do have a screener that we use to start with. So it's a shorter test assessment. And then those students who get to a certain percentile will then move on to the full battery of COGAT testing, as well as multiple measures other than just those assessment scores out of COGAT.
So if I heard this correctly, it's grant funded.
Yes, through OSPI and EGMS.
So whatever cost is incurred, we get reimbursed for.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, correct. So this is a grant funded opportunity for our students. And because it's grant funded, we have to follow a very specific set of regulations as far as going through what the grant specifically asks for. We have to get feedback, we have to give numbers, we have to make sure to have an action plan in place, which is what you guys would be taking action on tonight. But enable us in order for us to move forward with things like those types of steps. That's where this type of funding really helps us immensely. And the grant funding also paid for, we have a whole production broadcasting studio with a green screen and mic system and video equipment and things like that that is available for our middle school to use, as well as our highly capable classes currently doing videos for us, and they will put those out once or twice a trimester for us to watch, and they go around and interview people and get to know all of the audio visual equipment and everything like that. So it's pretty fun.
As well as writing script and
That is the other part too.
public speaking.
Production, production and public speaking. I had to be interviewed the other day for this, and they had me hold a fake mic. They're like, just hold it, it doesn't work, just hold it. As they videoed me. Okay.
So part of the grant with OSPI is that board approval of the plan, and then at the end of the year, we have to do reporting to them on how the money was spent and how many students qualified and the programs that were offered for students. So there is a follow-up and accounting of how that grant is
And
spent.
because it's a grant, I'm guessing that's why automatically you don't, like you said, you'd like to screen everybody, but there's a cost involved, and the grant only covers certain amounts, so it doesn't make it possible to screen everybody unless the district chooses to use local money to do that. So-
Yes.
So the screening, we cover that, or the grant will cover?
Through the grant.
Through the grant, okay, great.
Yes.
And then do we have like a deadline of when it has to be approved, or could we possibly vote after hearing the second presentation at the follow-up meeting that you was talking about?
Yeah, I don't think, is there a deadline? We can wait until June? Yeah. It's for next year, so,
Yes.
yeah, you can certainly table that vote.
Okay.
Could I make a motion at this time to table that until after the next presentation?
Would we do that now or at actual action
I
items?
would wait till the action item and then
Okay.
table it. Yeah.
Great.
Perfect. I just want to say thank you for sharing all of that. I know you don't have all of the answers and, but I think it's great to even just get like this much of it, because I love the equity inclusion piece. I think that that's huge. You said that we do that currently in 2nd and 5th grade. Do we send out information like at the end of year to like this year's 1st graders and 4th graders to let their parents know, like, this is something that you may have an interest in, or so that people know that they can recommend their child for it, even if like a teacher's not like, this kid needs to be in here.
I'm actually gonna defer, do Autumn or, Barb, do either of you know the answer to that? I know Vicky would, but I don't think she's here tonight, so.
Few months, and so this year just sent all notices to parents. And I can't remember the exact dates, but it's over like 2 months, you can make referrals. I was gonna see, so we put on Facebook and Instagram and all of the parents first. So-
Yes, I think it says on the sheet, it says on my sheet right here that the window opened and then it closed at March 8th. So it was earlier in the year.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so it closed, it says testing is done in March of each year. And so they open it up for referrals to come in. And then the district just did put a link for referral if your student wasn't in second or fifth grade in Spanish and in English on the website as well.
Awesome.
And so parents could refer their students if they weren't in second or fifth grade as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, up next we have principal reports, starting with the elementary.
All right, I'll hold it close so you guys can hear me. Kaylee wasn't able to make it tonight, so, it's just gonna be me. So, the last month at elementary school, we had a lot of fun. We just finished up field day, last Friday, so, we had some good sports. It wasn't as nice, so last Friday it was raining, so we had dunk tank. I did believe that I got dunked a couple times, as well as Kaylee, I mean, I did get bad to do it, I think this is why that did it. But people, since it wasn't like 80 degrees, we had less participation from staff. So we had to make up for that, but it was great fun by all, and the kids had a great time. And then we also loved the parents show up for the event too, so we opened up to the parents, they could have lunch with the kids and stuff, so that was fun. We have our Character Strong Assembly, it's our last, monthly assembly that we do is this Friday. So we'll be honoring kids this Friday on Courage. We have finished up our tier 2 Character Strong group. Shout out to Lori Watkins over there. She's an helping student. So, you know, we do our Character Strong. Tier 1 is with everybody. So we have Character Strong lessons throughout the year. This month is Courage. And then we do our assemblies to celebrate kids on that. But kids that need a little bit more, we gave them all a screener. And so we bowling wellness Wednesdays this year. So on Wednesdays, kids that needed more than what we were doing, just our tier 1 Character Strong for everybody, got that extra group work during that time. So we finished up Character 2, the tier 2 for Character Strong groups, which was great. And we also finished up Second Step, because I know sometimes people talk about bowling. So like, what do we do about bowling? Second Step is a bowling prevention curriculum. We targeted 4th and 5th graders this year, and it's really kind of tells them how to deal with it and how to report it, what it is and what it isn't. Because sometimes the word gets thrown around quite a bit, and then when you figure it out, it's like, no, Johnny and Jimmy don't like each other, and they're just being mean to each other, which is a lot different than bowl. But that word does get used like bullying, and then you figure it out, and it's just, no, they don't like each other, they're mean. So, you know, do some creative discipline and some sort of stuff so that they're quit being mean to each other. We just finished up seed testing. I think we're down to 4-inch. So that's good. And then we're starting up our Ames web testing here in the next week or so. So it'll be exciting to see how that data correlates and how kids are doing this. So that's kind of been going on in the main. Also, I just wanted to thank the board and Jeff for the opportunity to lead the elementary school for the last 2 years. I've got a place right up the road, so I'll still be in the community. So I just wanted to, you know, see you guys and everything like that. But do appreciate the support and the opportunity.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Thanks for being here for 2 years.
Okay, just like Mark, very, very busy time of the year. I just saw my daughter this weekend and she said, Mom, we'll see you in about 17 days for 8th grade promotion. And I said, what? What? 17 days? Yeah, the end of the year quickly approaches. So, middle school also has finished up the structured SBAC testing that we have done. We do have more than 4 who still need to test, unfortunately, but, you know, students are very strategic about missing specific days of testing. And so we have to catch them when they're actually here, which is a good thing. And so we're working on makeups right now. We are also in the midst of doing our final district benchmark testing for Ames Web as well. And that will give us a little bit more concrete information as that is done 3 times throughout the year. And then we'll have some information on some student growth as well. Our 6th graders last week went to Miracle Ranch and had a chance to do their outdoor education program. We are funded through a grant called Outdoor Schools. We received in the last 2 years, $45,000 from this grant for both of those years. And this year, I actually just read my email today and found out that we are going to be funded at $50,000 next year. So that's pretty exciting to continue our outdoor education program, because obviously when we're talking about a budget, we have to be mindful of the money that we spend and make sure that we have everything, you know, marked accordingly. And so I was excited to see that we got a little bit of a pay increase, not pay increase, but a grant increase to help fund the kids. They had a fantastic time. It's always a memory. We had, I think, 12 high school counselors that were able to participate and come down, and it's just fantastic. So that happened last week. And then a couple of the big things that are coming up. We do have our band marching in the parade on Saturday. This is exciting. At 11 o'clock, our band will be in the Forest Festival Parade. We hope that everybody can show up and cheer them on. I've been listening to them, and they are playing the song by Steve Miller Band. Anybody guess? It has to do with our mascot.
Like an eagle.
Yes, wild and eagle, of course, right? So, and they sound fabulous. I know this because they march up and down right outside the office. So whenever I'm in the office out here, they're marching out there and playing, and they just sound great. And then they come in first thing in the morning, and they all go into the music room, which is over there, and they play. So Saturday the 11th, be looking for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders to be marching. And then we will also be having I believe, a band concert coming up here pretty soon, but I don't know the exact date on it, so I apologize for not having that, but we will get information out. And then finally, we have our 8th grade promotion. Our last day of school is June 17th, which is a Monday, which is a half day, but the day prior to that, which in this case is Friday, the full day prior to that, we have our 8th grade promotion. And so Friday, June 14th at 6 p.m., we will be having our 8th grade promotion ceremony here in the gymnasium. That is, with the exception of our board, who is all invited, that it's a ticket event. So if you have an 8th grader that is attending, you're looking for that ticket, because we pack the gym full. It is full to the gills. And then we have a fun time right up here afterwards. We'll have some cake and pictures and all of those different kinds of things to celebrate our promoting 8th graders. So fun times all around at the elementary and middle school as the end of the year approaches. Any questions?
I did have a quick question. How long does it take to get the results back from the testing that everybody's doing?
We actually should be starting to see any time now.
The results are coming in slowly.
They're slowly coming in. They are considered to be unofficial results because they go through this whole big stringent process of looking for errors and things like that. But we can see we can see that first initials round and set as they start to get graded and come through, and you know, it's pretty crazy.
And the cohort percentages will change until the whole cohort of students in a grade band get tested.
Yeah.
And then but we are getting some results. Elementary's got results coming in, and
and elementary started a week before us, which is incredible to see that. So, Dawn, are you going to come in there, Dawn? Is she?
yeah, well, it's not up to me.
Okay.
Sure, yeah, let's hear it.
Dawn is our testing coordinator.
Yeah.
Both the middle and the elementary school. I mean, she works at the elementary, but she's our testing coordinator. So.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna comment on that. I'm happy to answer any questions while I have to be here.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions about state testing at all?
My only questions were really when we would kind of see results and stuff from that. So if there's only sounds like a handful of students at the elementary, which is awesome. And I don't know for sure at the middle school, but it sounds like those should be rolling in here pretty quickly, which is great.
We're starting to see, some of the results are starting to come in. I believe they go out to families July, August. I'm not 100% sure on the timeline.
We
Until we
have
get
sent them
back.
out in September. 11th.
Yeah, not till we get back. Yeah, not till we get back, yeah.
Okay.
And they're certified.
And they're
Yeah,
certified,
right.
yes.
Yeah, we're starting to see some of it, but there's a whole process we need to go to
Yes.
to make sure everything's certified and just all of the fun things that I've learned this year. But,
Excellent.
yes, we're wrapping up and we're seeing,
Yeah.
I think some good results. So people
That's
are
what I was gonna
excited.
ask. is
Well-
sneak preview.
Yeah, and I don't know about the results now, but I can tell you that we did this thing called time on task for our students where if they stayed working on their test. Mind you, I would say that grit is probably one of the hardest things that we have had to overcome with state testing, just because students just don't have the grit and the wherewithal to stick with the test. You know, when the state says this is a 60-minute test, you need to sit and test for 60 minutes. Or you have the state test or the science test that, you know, which is 120 minutes allotted and you get a couple 10-minute breaks. That's the kind of stamina that our kids don't still have post-pandemic. We're trying to teach those kind of things, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
It is incredibly difficult. So doing things, we even said it called time on task where they could sit and they could, if they would work on their test instead of rushing through it, if they could put things on their rough drafts that they did, and would create rough drafts and actually write things on paper to think it through before they automatically just type responses in. Then they got something like, you know, we gave them an extra lunch, so they got an hour lunch that day, which, you know, hey, who wouldn't want an hour lunch, you know? An hour lunch, I bought it out of, you know, out of my pocket to go get everybody ice cream, you know, ice cream sandwiches. And so they come through line, we give them an ice cream sandwich and they worked hard. They worked hard for things like that, but it showed us that they had the ability to sit and be able to test and be able to think. And that we know that they can do it. We know that they can do it. I don't know that they knew that they could do it until they actually did it.
Yeah,
So,
testing fatigue.
yeah, testing fatigue is real.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Excuse me, before I leave, could I ask a question about the parade again? And why is there a parade and where is it?
Oh, sorry, that is the Forest Festival Parade for Shelton. Shelton has their big Forest Festival. It's their big city festival that they do. It's Mason County, actually. And so there's lots of events happening this weekend in Shelton. And there is a parade at 11 a.m. down the main street of Shelton. Lots of floats, marching bands, all those fun kind of things. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Right, and I apologize, Tuesday is my night to take dinner to my mom, so I got it as quickly as I can. So I'm Donna Squires, I am the intermediate academic achievement specialist over at the elementary school, so I serve third, fourth, and fifth grades. One of the things that we have worked on this year, when we looked at our data to see kind of how kids were doing, one of the areas that we identified as a need was students working on their fluency, meaning when they read, looking at their ability to read accurately, read at a reasonable rate, and read with expression. And so that was one of the goals all third, fourth, and fifth grades set. Both within the title program and in the classroom, students worked really hard all year on some specific strategies and skills to support that. So they were working on being able to just quickly recognize words and read them. They worked on paying attention to punctuation. They worked on just reading in phrases to try to make your reading sound smooth, conversational. And along the way, they kept the data. So students, depending on what grade one class they were in, did a variety of things where they would practice, well, they would had a cold reading where they would time themselves, or the teacher would time them, and they would track that, they would practice it after a while, and then they were keeping track of their growth on some charts themselves. We have made some amazing growth, and one of the projects that we are doing to celebrate that is we are putting together a project called the Read Aloud Project. So our goal is for students to select books out of the library, and we're purposely choosing books that are everybody books. So books that maybe kindergartners, first grade, or really any grade, picture books. They're going to take that book, they're going to practice reading it, and then they are recording themselves reading the book, and I'm helping them make a QR code, so I will bring it guys. So the student records themselves reading the book. We take a QR code of that recording and we paste it inside the book. And now any student who picks up that book and takes it to the Chromebook, guys, everybody has their cell phone. If you snap a picture of the QR code, then the reader gets to listen to one of our students read along with them. So the chance for our students to just celebrate the fact that they worked really hard to become a better, smoother, confident reader. It helps our kindergartners, first grade, or really anybody who picks up that book to have something now read with them and follow along in the book. And it's a gift back to the school. So our students who are currently working at the elementary will be there forever. And we'll get to pass on their love of reading and their excitement. So that's just one of the projects that we worked on this year. We're, I don't know how many we have yet. We've got about, well, we've only got about 3 that we've actually put the QR code in, but we've got 4th grade, I would say about 75% of the kids have chosen the book and are practicing, and I think about a handful have started the recording. So we'll do this kind of to the end of the year. So fun things happening at the elementary school. Any questions?
I just think that's a really cool idea because it's like a digital buddy system, right? So you're taking, instead of having to pull kids out of a different classroom or anything like that, they have this opportunity to still read along with their peers, but like learning it that way also. I think it's great. I love it.
I like the fact too that you're sort of coming up to all the competition we have to have with media, which you created a higher level presentation to them. It's more engaging.
Yes, and one of the other goals was I really want students to see themselves as using technology to create and not just consume. And so yes, while a younger student might be consumed by listening to it, what they were consuming was created by another student, and there's a lot of power and agency in that. So just wanting students to really feel that this is something they can use for positive. This was part.
Excellent. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm happy, you guys, if you want to hang out with those so you can scan it later. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, next we have business operations.
Okay, the first thing from earlier, the COGAT tests. I looked it up, they're $12.80 a piece. And we ordered 250 for the district.
Chris, can you hold the mic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the COGAT tests were $12.80 a piece. We ordered 250 for them for the district. And that came out to about $3,500.
And that's all the grant. So like that would be the reimbursement at the end of the year or whenever they do that?
It's a grant program, it's not reimbursed. We get the funding and then if we don't spend it, we have to send it back. But it's similar.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start with the summary sheet. This is our financials ending April 30th, 2024. In the general fund, we saw revenues of $2,355,000. Expenditures of $1,284,000. Enrollment for the month was just under 738, and that's right about our average as well. Ending fund balance for the general fund was 1,835,000. The capital projects fund, we saw revenues of 1,403,000, expenditures of 1,430,000. Those are all district office, and then the related reimbursements. The ending fund balance of the capital projects fund is $90,132. The debt service fund, we saw tax revenues and a little bit of interest revenue of 608,000. Our ending fund balance there is 1,177,000. The ASB fund, just a little bit of activity, $620 in revenues, $528 in expenditures. The ending fund balance is 46,977. And then the transportation vehicle fund, we saw our reimbursements for the electric buses. We saw the expenditures for the electric buses. So the revenues was 552,000. Expenditures are 754,000. Our ending fund balance there in the transportation fund is $135,000.
Chris, can you explain, what is the debt service fund?
So the debt service fund, in 2014 or 15, when we built the middle school, we got a bond, and the debt service fund is solely to account for the bond payments, bond revenues, which are the bond.
So it's money coming in and going out related to
Yep.
the bond.
Yes. And then there's like.
Thank you.
And then there's like $500 in transfer fees, bonds, transfer funds, and then, but that's it. It's the bond principal, bond interest, and then the tax revenues, and that transfer fee. So very minimal activity there. Couple of things I wanted to point out going through the budget status report. So that would be this one with all the details. In the general fund, our local tax revenues, we saw $1,034,000 revenues in April. That's about 40% of what we collect for the year in local levies. So that's why April was so much bigger, so much larger revenue wise than the other months. It held a fund balance catch back up, which is nice to see. I don't have anything else noted in the general fund. There is a resolution that you guys will see later on. It's a transfer of the interest revenues from the debt service fund to capital projects. So the debt service fund, each year we're getting the amount that we need to pay our bond payments. We hold cash in that account and our investments in that account month over month, and we gain interest revenues. We don't need those interest revenues in the debt service fund to make those payments. So we're allowed to, there's an RCW and it's referenced in the resolution. It allows us to transfer those interest earnings either to general fund or capital project or transportation vehicle fund to cover shortfalls. In this case, the district office, that project is going to, these interest revenues are going to go towards funding the rest of that project. Was not covered by ESSER. Then the amount, so capital projects, the amount that I went back to 2016, 2017, we never transferred those interests. So it's about a little bit over $61,000 for those 8 years. That will end up bringing our capital projects fund balance up to 150,000 from 90,000 right now. So that will be a little bit of help there. There's also, I received an email, Boyd and I received an email about a month ago from the, I think it's Department of Enterprise, one of the state agencies that deals with capital projects. When we built our middle school, we didn't close the project out entirely. So there's about $190,000 retaining money that's still sitting with the state that we're working on to recover. That money will also go back into the capital projects.
Do we know a timeline on that?
And
Do we have a timeline on when that gets transferred over?
it just depends on when I do it. It's like waiting on events. So hard to give you a good estimate. Flipping back through the budget status report. So in the debt service fund, again, about 40% of our budgeted revenues for the debt service fund were collected in April. That's pretty typical for that month. In May, so actually in the next couple of days, we're going to be making our interest payment on the bond, which is $475,000. So that you'll see that activity in next month's report. And with the, I guess with the transfer out of these interest revenues, our current fund balance for the debt service fund is at $1,177,000. That transfer will bring us down to about $1,150,000, which is still plenty of room to make our payments. And it's nothing real complex one, ASB fund. The last, I guess the second to last page, which has the transportation vehicle fund. So that will show you the electric bus revenues, $550,000. And then expenditures, they offset $754,000. Over time, those buses will pay for themselves because we receive depreciation from the state. And on these electric buses, I think it's about $30,000 a year for 12 years. So all in all, we make money on the grant in the bus purchases, but it takes a few years to recover. The only other activity in the transportation vehicle fund for the rest of the year is I just ordered 2 additional charging cables for the electric buses. Those are 100% grant funded, the charging infrastructure. That way we have a couple of extras just in case something happens. And then go repeat our depreciation revenues in August. And the depreciation revenues this year will be about $132,000. That's all of the specifics I had in the budget status report. And then the last thing I want to point out is just in your guys' charts. The first chart is the revenues to date. First, and if you compare this month to last month, you'll notice that you'll notice that the local tax chunk it's at 21.42% now. That throughout the rest of the year will go down. We'll probably end up about 18 to 19%. But if you're comparing month to month, that's a big difference that you guys see. And that is all I have. Are there any questions?
So, you said 90,000 left from the original build of this building. Is coming back to us or 190,000?
So that was 187,000, and that's retainage that we paid and the state has been holding.
And we're gonna get that back?
Yes.
And that will help with the deficit?
It will go for the capital projects fund.
So will that help with the deficit we're experiencing?
Not necessarily.
Any questions?
What is the, federal special purpose funds? I'm sorry, general purpose. On your pie chart.
That is, there's federal versus there's, I believe that's the only thing that you're receiving that list.
Pardon me, what?
Is federal force related. What that means, I can get you more information. Because it's not that they're cutting down or logging forest land that's within our.
It's forest related funds?
It is forest related,
Okay.
but it's federal forest, not state forest.
Right, federal. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my question was, so on top of her question over here, you say it might, going into the capital projects, it won't necessarily help with the deficit, but can that money, is it able to be transferred to another fund at all once we receive it? No. Okay. Okay. And then, I mean, I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but we had, before finding out about that, we had approved 2 school curriculums, the math and the social studies or history. Do we know if we were able to stop those from fully being ordered, both or one, or able to recover any of that?
So the math curriculum, that's the CKLA.
No, that's iReady.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but we've ordered one of them. It's all paid for by ESSER, so that money needs to be spent anyways. The social studies, we pull back though.
We're holding off until next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any additional questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, superintendent's report.
Yeah, you have my report in your packet, so just a couple additions. We're kind of getting to the final stages after how many years with that district office. They did move some furniture in today. The rest of the furniture will probably be in the next 2 weeks or so. Plumbing is finishing up this week with hookups. The lock change out because they have construction locks, and so they will now put our locks on there. We have a company, that'll come, I think it's Verkada, that will come out and do our electronic door. Joe, yeah, and the cameras, and then once that stuff's done, the final grading will be done by Hanson Excavating, and then final inspection once that work's done. So we're getting closer to having that done. This Thursday, 9 a.m., Day of Champions at North Mason. It's a great opportunity to come out and watch all the Mason County area special ed students compete. 9 o'clock at the high school. Is that right, Amy? Day of Champions at North Mason High School?
North Mason.
Yeah, 9 a.m.
June 8th.
Yeah.
This Thursday. This Thursday, yeah. And then Thursday night, we have our family fun night, similar to what we did last year. So there'll be games and activities, the elementary school food. I think there's doing plant sale again. So you're all invited to do that. I think the weather looks like it might be okay Thursday. So let's hope so.
Hopefully.
And then we also, Trish mentioned 8th grade promotion on the 14th. So let Lynn know if you're attending. And then as we get closer, Trish will determine how many on stage, presenting certificates, et cetera. Yeah, so
You said to let Lynn know?
let
Okay.
Lynn or Trish know, either one.
Thank you.
Other than that, there are other information in your packet.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, that moves us into our discussion and action items. We have a few of these. Up first is the approval of the revised 2024-2025 school calendar. And that was adjusted with the budget. Are there any questions or discussions?
Were the only changes to the calendar with the professional days?
Yes,
And
we
the
removed those
midwinter break.
midwinter break. Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve the revised 2024-2025 school calendar?
I move that we adopt the amended 2024-25 calendar A.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion passes. Thank you.
Rebecca, you can make a motion on the table.
Oh, yeah, I will make, I'd like to move to table the highly capable program until after June when we hear the second presentation. Oh, sorry. I move to table the highly capable program until after June when we hear the second presentation.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded to table the highly capable program approval. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed, so that motion passes, to be tabled until the June meeting. Up next is approval of the Pioneer Elementary ASB Constitution, which we had an opportunity to review at the last meeting. Do we have any discussion pertaining to that?
I'm gonna comment. And going through this, I have some issues. When I was in school, ASB was a program that was earned. You were voted in by your students, but you had to be meeting a certain grade level to be on the ASB. At the elementary level, we are having some issues with the grade levels. I think that the focus in the elementary school should not be on student body programs, but more on education. So I just wanted to comment on that.
Any additional discussion?
I think I kind of concur with Rick about that. I think that the programs that the elementary school has put in place, and I'm sure will continue to make them even more robust around social emotional skills and pro positive behavior in the classroom and in the student body are where the focus should be for the students. And through that, they develop the skills to be leaders that they will then need in middle school to go on and be involved in student government. But I kind of think I agree, and maybe the introduction of the concept with fifth grade kids, but I think under that, I don't see a function for ASB for elementary.
I would also agree with that. We need to focus more on the education and discipline of our younger students in elementary at this time, especially with all the challenges we've been, getting comments about and being told about and everything, just focusing on them, becoming responsible enough to handle the idea of the ASB program.
I kind of like to hear, just because I don't know enough as far as like having examples of what the ASB is currently doing over there, I'd kind of like to understand, because I think it is building skills, but I want to have, we've got some good discussion about it, so I'd like to kind of explore that a little bit.
Do I have permission to?
Yeah, yes, we've got some.
I'm not at the elementary school, but I am a former ASB advisor, and it is part of a requirement as a principal that I know ASB law as well. Just because we have to understand about funding sources. ASB funding is, if that is a beast in and of itself, we have to be very, very careful about that. So part of ASB that we always kind of keep in the back of our heads is this acronym CARS. C-A-R-S. CARS stands for anything that is cultural, anything that is athletic, recreation, or social. Did I get that right? Okay, yes. So the CARS acronym. You'll notice that there is nothing academic in that. That means that ASB is about the social aspect that happens at school, pre-K all the way through high school. And so when we're looking at ASB, yes, we see a lot of ASB leadership type activities, more so that happen at the middle and the high school level. But there are a lot of the cultural, recreational, and social activities that do happen at elementary levels. And part of the ASB responsibility is that it must be student-driven and student-approved. And so in order for funding, if ASB has a fundraiser, let's just say the elementary ASB has a fundraiser going on, the students must approve to spend the money a particular way. It cannot be approved by the principal or by another,
Advisor.
teacher or something like that. The students actually have to take a vote. So when we have ASB money that's in the account, the students actually do have to have a group of students who will come together to talk about it and then make an informed decision on how to spend that money appropriately. So It is vitally important to make sure that our students, just as we all make informed decisions about how we spend our own money, it is important to teach students from a very, very young age also that if they are spending, and we're talking ASB budgets can be thousands of dollars. I would always inform my ASB students, you have $64,000 that you are in charge of, and you have the final say. Well, Ms. Gemmer, can I say no when something comes through? Absolutely, you can say no. If it doesn't fit within this acronym, if it doesn't fit with the goal of what we're looking at, this is the money that you are required to make sure that you protect and that you spend it according, so it is for the students. It doesn't go for curriculum, it doesn't go for, supplies that go in teachers' classrooms or anything like that. This is a student, an opportunity. So I just want to make sure that that is very, very clear. And sometimes that's not, it doesn't come across very clearly in the Constitution itself because it's bylaws and things like that. But those are often things that we don't know about in regards to ASB. So associated student body, yes, and they are required to be the sole voice for how we spend those funds and how those decisions are made. So when you see those groups at lunchtime, or you have it once or twice a week that they're pulled out at the elementary school level and they come and they meet with somebody who's advising, it is very important for them to get that understanding. When we have our sixth graders every year, and we have our sixth graders come in and they run for an office of some sort, whether it's historian or it's a secretary position or something, we are very, very clear about what those responsibilities entail and how those are monitored and turned into our business office. Notes are taken. It is a very, very strict procedure that we have to go through because, again, we're handling money. And we have to make sure to do that. Yes, Rob.
So are we talking primarily for the elementary school, 4th and 5th grade, or are we talking the whole elementary?
Does somebody at the elementary school know how far down the grade levels that goes?
So I don't want to get into too up, but we have what's called the Eagle Flight Team.
Yes.
And we work in coordination with that. They did like a yearbook.
Yes.
Two separate grades. My daughter is in 4th grade, so she's in
Yeah.
4th grade. There's also a 5th grade. I know there is some 3rd graders, but it was a process. The teachers had to nominate these students. They had to be interviewed by my daughter's interviewed by the grade. It was about scheduling, and it's after school. We're not doing academic time. So it is just all based on the curve.
Yeah.
Could you summarize, because I couldn't hear it. Could you summarize what you said?
Oh, yes. So they have what's called the Eagle Flight Team at the elementary level. It is outside of school hours. And they do have 4th and 5th graders, and they will leave some 3rd graders as well. These students are screened by teachers looking for things like leadership quality, looking for good social emotional, looking for how they interact with their peers, all of those types of leadership qualities that we're looking for. And then those students meet together to do things like help with the yearbook and other types of activities and things like that. Is that correct? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I might say too, part of the impetus to start an elementary ASB was the yearbook, is the having an avenue for them to, raise funds and then sell them, take money in, as well as pay for the cost of it without using district dollars. So the impetus for this was really about the yearbook and student driven with teacher advisor to get a yearbook going at the elementary and having that avenue to collect money, pay for the publication, without having to, go out and have fundraisers or go out and spend district dollars, et cetera. So that's what started the conversation.
And that was going to be one of my follow-up questions was for the elementary school, and since you're here, how much have they spent already?
So-
I mean, are they spending money to?
No, so the elementary school has money in our ASB fund from before I was here, but we haven't spent a dime since I've been here because I haven't been able to find a constitution. This is getting the documents in place, so then the elementary students can go say, yeah, we want to spend $10,000 on playground.
So how many youths do we have that are potentially going to be involved with this?
What, say that again?
How many youths?
It's hard to say because
Say,
it should be in their constitution. There should be a cabinet, and explain how they're chosen, typically by their peers, although at the elementary school, there could be also, like you'd mentioned, teacher, recommendations, et cetera. So it'll be like a typical ASB where there'll be a cabinet of officers that will represent the grade level.
So I can say from my perspective, having been involved with youth in scouting programs.
Yeah.
The earlier on that you invoke those kind of leadership skills, they take those throughout their lives. So I could see the benefit as far as, you know, it being implemented, and followed up with oversight.
And there's a lot more oversight at the elementary level by the principal or by the ASB advisor than there is at the middle school or the high school level. The middle school and high school, at the high school level, it's almost all student directed. The advisor is there to provide support. Middle school, Ms. Thurston, she helps her students, but they do the majority of the work. At the elementary school, it would be whoever the ASB advisor is. They'd be kind of, I don't know about making the plans, but they'd be walking with students through every step of it. This is what we need to do in order to get here. This is what we need to do to do a fundraiser, to spend the money, and just getting them familiar with the processes and procedures.
Joel has his hand up.
yes.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah. Jolene is the ASB
expert.
law queen. She knows. Jolene, unmute.
I just had to figure out how to turn my microphone on. I just wanted to share a little information. I worked in ASB at the high school level and at the middle school level in Shelton. And at middle school, it was 5th and 6th graders. And the structure can be set up a number of different ways, but it is a really great and gentle introduction to government. And it's more adult led, but I can say that those kids surprised me, the 5th and 6th graders, how insightful they were. They asked great questions. It was structured where 6th graders, were the top of the top grade level in that building. So they held the cabinet positions, but each advisory had a student representative who might come once a month or once every other month to the meeting and be exposed to it, be able to put in input, take that information back to their class. And as there's no other vehicle for the students in that building to use the funds that are already there, or to, raise funds for those cultural, athletic, recreational, and social activities. So it does look different at the elementary level. I haven't looked to see how they're structuring the program, but I think it's really useful and doable.
thank you.
Can I just say this really quick? Also, there is nothing that is more powerful in students investing themselves than student voice. I mean, we can have all the great, wonderful programs we want to, but if it's all adult led and it's all adult driven and we don't involve student voice, then students don't feel like they are invested in what is created around them. And so ASB is the one determined way for sure, beyond all other things that we can implement and decide. You will know beyond a shadow of a doubt with ASB, you have an opportunity of student voice. And when students become involved in the decision-making of the things around them, then they have a lot of agency to protect the things around them as well, and to find that there is value and importance in whatever is happening in their immediate environment on top of that, so.
Rebecca, you had questions?
Yeah, so it was stated that you hadn't been able to allow any of the funds to be used without having the Constitution in place up until now. So prior to now, has the district then been paying for the elementary school yearbooks, and then this would take over? So we're not paying for it from the district after this, and
So-
now it comes from the ASB?
So
For elementary.
prior to this, there wasn't a yearbook.
It's the first time.
Yeah. So this would be allowing them to do kind of fundraiser is what a yearbook would be considered. And then sell those yearbooks.
Okay.
And I just had a quick question. I was curious about kind of the extracurricular learning piece from this. I think that there's value in that. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but is there anybody who can kind of talk about the extracurricular value and like things that firsthand, like what students are saying who are part of this ASB program? And if not, that's okay. I just wanted to see if anybody was.
I'll just say my grandson, first grader, was super excited because somebody on the recess asked an opinion about something. I don't know what it was.
He was interviewed, right? Yes.
Interviewed by somebody, but they said it was ASB. So he learned ASB and they asked an opinion.
Wow.
That's cool.
I guess what I can say, I think that Autumn Golden was here earlier. She helps with the ASB and so does Vicki Rance. Well, I can tell you that Autumn's an exceptional teacher and the kids love her and love to be with her. And she creates spaces where they really want to be with her. They love to be in her class. If you ever get an opportunity to come and see Autumn's class, please do. Because she creates it so well. And so I can tell you, just as the elementary school counselor, that they love those opportunities. Our kids don't have a lot of extracurricular activities in our area unless they go, out to Shelton. And not all of our families can get them out to Shelton. So anything that we can do to provide extracurricular activities for our students is a huge plus. They love it. They thrive. And they will rise. Our elementary students rise to the occasion every opportunity that we give them. Whether they're, younger or older, they do rise. So if we build it, they will come and they will be excited and they will be enthusiastic. So any of those kind of opportunities that we give them for leadership, for creativity, for anything like that, they will really do really well. They love it. So I can speak to that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So my grandson's on it and he is in the Stollens class. And he is so excited and so proud that it just brings him out so much. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
I will add to, we have a Caring Strong Assembly every month at our elementary school. And the last, I think, 2 months now, we used to watch pre-recorded videos from students in other districts or other programs, but now it's our students that are making these videos. And so they're holding interviews on the playground with the teachers, asking the questions. And then, when it goes up on the big screen in the gym, I wish you could feel that excitement. The kids, when they see something they know or it's their favorite teacher, they all just light up, and it's really awesome to see our kids making those videos.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to see that, and it was really cool because you could hear students being like, "Oh, I know that, that's so and so, or that's me." So that was pretty cool. Thank you for bringing up that example. Thank you guys for sharing too.
Don't need a motion.
Is there any additional discussion or questions?
Well, we've talked a lot about, the milestones the kids get when they're, being really well behaved in class. They get these goals. So maybe that the ASB, to being able to participate, it would definitely be one of those high level goals that they work towards. And when they get there, they can share with their friends how wonderful it is.
Yeah, I like that.
I loved all of the comments. I would say that none of them addressed my primary concern, which is academics. This is definitely something that I would consider at a time that we saw some test scores. And we saw that kids were actually thriving. And then it could be an incentive.
But I think I understood from what was talked about that this is This doesn't have anything to do with their academics. It is after school.
Yeah, I can speak for Eagle Flight Team, it is after school. I guess as a parent, I can see where you're saying the academic portion is important. But when you have a child that struggles, you know, but she shows up every day, she tries so hard every day, she's doing her homework, and she's doing the best that she can. So maybe academically, she's not hitting the point, but as a person, as a student, she is. So to say that, you know, academically, she doesn't, I don't want to use the word, doesn't deserve to do this, that's very fair because she's trying. So to base something off of the test seems grossly unfair because she is here, she is trying, she comes to school every day, she's doing the homework, she's doing the work, she's doing the right thing. You know, she's out there doing the work. So yes, it's after school. She's never been pulled out of class for any of it. It's been, we pick her up late after school. So it's not like she's not doing classwork. It's not like she's not in classwork. This is purely on her own time. You know, her dad or I have to come pick her up after it's over. It's not, you know, that's just my 2 cents.
Do we, with our cutbacks, have the staff power to provide the kind of support that starting an elementary level ASB program will need? Because it will require good leadership and time. And we aren't going to have money for stipends for extra time that I can see. So that's a question to be taking into consideration too. I highly support the middle school ASB notion. I love the idea of the middle school kids coming down to the 5th grade level or the 5th grade and 4th grade level and talking with them about what it is. But when I think about energy and what we're going to need to do this next year, I hate to see us spread ourselves out further because it sounds like a good idea when what we really need to do is tuck our wings under and strengthen what we're going to have. And with the idea that we get one really going before we try to spread ourselves out. I know it's easy to be enthusiastic about the idea, especially the idea of doing things as extracurricular after school, but we think we have to think about manpower and cost. And the question I'm finding myself asking more is, what are the implicit costs of things that we take on with enthusiasm that we don't see up front? And let us pay attention to those things. And it's always easier to add things, but once you put them in, it's very hard to take them back.
Do we know, as far as, like cost or staff for the ASB?
Middle school ASB is a stipend position. There's no, at this point, in the contract that I can think of for an elementary stipend for an advisor. So it's, up to now, it's been purely volunteer. I think the other thing to consider is, and Chris mentioned this, is there's money in the what's called the elementary ASB account. It cannot be spent unless there's an updated constitution, which we've been searching for months over at the elementary school to find one. Hence, there was one developed. So it is an avenue to spend the existing funds that are in there. So I'd just like to make sure you understand that they can't spend the funds on their yearbook or any of those activities without having an updated ASB constitution for the elementary school.
So there was at one time a constitution that was approved by the board and it was operating off of that constitution. Were we able to collect money to the ASB?
Years ago, and I don't know the exact timelines, it was before COVID, and there's been so much turnover at the elementary school that there's no files, there's no record that anybody's aware of. Even people that have been here a long time in the district have no recollection of any kind of constitution that we can find.
I think I would like to, or I would move to table this action item, the elementary ASB constitution, until after our study session when we've had more opportunity to discuss it and all the, the spending and things and look more into the questions that have come up with the board. It seems that there's a lot of questions still, so I would move to table that until June.
Is there?
Did you just say you'd like to table it? I couldn't.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Is
You're-
there a timeline for when you'll be discussing it?
I would prefer to see it tabled until after our next study session, when we've all had more time to look into it and have it added to the
2 weeks.
agenda there to look into it more and, possibly look for the one that you brought up,
Rebecca, are you referring to both or just the elementary?
just the elementary.
Okay, thanks.
Is there a second to table it or any additional discussion?
I have additional discussion. So the focus is, the implicit cost. What does that mean for the elementary school? I think that's what we would be wanting.
Part of it, not all of it.
Yeah, right now, there's none. I mean, it's all volunteer and there's nothing in the collective bargaining agreement for an elementary stipend.
Yes.
A second motion.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded for tabling the elementary ASB. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. The motion to table the Pioneer Elementary ASB has passed. And so that will be discussed at the next study session in June. So that motion is complete, so it wouldn't change anything with that one.
Can we still hear what
Yeah.
she's wants to say?
Oh, yes.
I've heard about 4 or 5 different real positive inputs on the program. But I also understand Mr. Rick Lee's concern, and I share that, Mr. Rick. However, I have observed children, once they get so excited about something that's related to their school, it's almost like contagious, that they add that enthusiasm and that excitement to the next thing. And I would hope that would be supported in a way that they could, achieve academically better too. I've seen it happen. In fact, I think adults do that too. If we're excited about something, I think we can get more involved in it. It sounds like you have great teachers here who want to support this.
Haven't seen them.
And I'm still very new to all of this process, but I just wanted to share with you guys that I see it as a real challenge and maybe a good experiment to take on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have approval of the Pioneer Middle School ASB Constitution. Do we have any discussion pertaining to that one? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the middle school ASB Constitution?
I move to approve the middle school ASB Constitution.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. The motion passes. Up next is approval of the Information and Condition of Schools, ICOS. And we have one for the Pioneer Elementary and another for the Pioneer Middle School. Do we have any discussion pertaining to those? Jeff, are you able
I'm
to
just gonna ask you.
provide insight?
Yeah,
into those?
so OSBI asked for updated information on each of the schools, like condition of the school, square footage, which really hasn't changed, but they're looking at if there are additions to update that. Part of this requirement also was to release the retention funds that Chris had mentioned too. So we just had to update our ICOS results for each building. It had been a while since we had done that.
Thank you.
Is the comment about the floor construction still this floor and the crack in the
Floor
floor?
here, correct.
Any additional discussion or questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the ICOS? I need to do them separately for the elementary.
No,
Okay.
there's one report.
Okay, perfect. For the elementary and middle school?
I move that we accepted the report from IFOS on both the elementary school and the middle school.
Thank you.
2024, 25, 23, 24.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed. The motion passes unanimously. Up next, we have Resolution 04-2024, acceptance of small district modernization construction grant. Is there any discussion or questions?
Oh, I have a question. That is, what, what expenditures are we, likely to need to make from within our existing budget to accept the grant award of $4,851,000?
Or how much?
$4,851,000.
Yeah, so it shouldn't cost us anything.
It won't
The grant will pay for all of it.
cover everything. So there are no
There's no general fund dollars.
Okay.
The grant will cover the cost. If you remember.
And will this lighting that's noted here, address the part in the ICOS report that said our lighting was 60%? It's the only thing on the ICOS report that I saw was under 90% was lighting.
Mhm.
So will this address the lighting issue?
Yes, at the elementary. This
Right.
one, remember, is all geared towards the elementary.
Okay,
So yes, the
good.
lighting will be energy efficient, all new lighting fixtures. that
That's
will
two
address
birds with
that.
one stone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good questions. Any additional questions regarding that one?
I believe you talked about solar coming up. Does this tie into that?
No, that's completely different. This grant is one that we applied for, probably 3 years ago, that finally the legislature funded, small modernization grant. So this will cover elementary HVAC system, a brand new HVAC system, energy efficient lighting and safety and security at the elementary school.
Thank you.
Good question. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the acceptance of the small district modernization construction grant?
I move that we accept the small district modernization construction grant, resolution 04-2024.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Up next, we have Resolution 05-2024, acceptance of investment transfer from the Debt Service Fund to the Capital Projects Fund. This is what Chris was telling us about earlier. Do we have any additional discussion pertaining to that? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the investment transfer from the Debt Service Fund to the Capital Projects Fund?
Yeah, I'll move to transfer the investment.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes. Up next is policy 6700. It's the second reading for the nutrition policy. Do we have any discussion pertaining to that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the second reading of policy 6700 pertaining to nutrition?
I'll move that we, second reading of policies. What was policy number?
6700.
6700, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. The motion passes. Up next is the approval of policy 6701 regarding recess and physical activity. This is the second reading. Do we have any discussion? Great. Do I have a motion to approve the second reading of policy 6701 pertaining to recess and physical activity?
I move to accept the policy for 6701 recess and physical activity.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes. Our last action item for the evening is policy 6702 pertaining to wellness. This is the second reading as well. Do we have any discussion? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the second reading of policy 6702 pertaining to wellness?
I move that we accept policy 6702 wellness.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes unanimously. That concludes all of our action and discussion items. We are currently into new business. Do we have any new business for this evening? Okay, up next is board share. Do we have any board share?
Oh, I guess one of the things that I probably should have stuck it under new business is, we need to schedule an executive session,
Yes.
before our study session, which is the 11th.
So looking at, next week then.
Tuesday, maybe.
Sorry. So next Tuesday is June 4th. That works for me, but does that work for everyone?
And what's the topic?
So it would be an executive session to complete the, evaluation of a state employee.
Okay. I have a comment. We requested an executive session, members of the board, prior to our community meeting. And what I got was that we weren't allowed to have an executive session. I read the WAC on that, and I didn't see anything in the WAC that would have excluded us from having an executive session prior to the community meeting. So I have some concerns about a request for an executive session and not receiving one, because I would have liked to have done that before we met the public.
I didn't hear what he said. I'm so sorry, but I just don't hear.
No worries. He was talking about the opportunity for an executive session prior to the community meeting. And so
Oh,
there
yes.
might be two different, conversations, I think, with this one piece. So pertaining to the topic that we're discussing for scheduling this next week, that was something that was a decision made to postpone it until afterwards because of everything that was going on. So we had an opportunity to listen to the public and address all of that. The original topic, if I remember correctly, and I would need to double check my email, but it was, based on what we were discussing, it would not have fallen under the
10 criteria to
Thank
have an
you.
executive session.
Okay, well, it's under the same topic then as it is now. So I just wanted some clarification as to why that was not permitted.
Yeah, if the executive session prior was about the evaluation of a district employee, yes, that qualifies. But that was not the request for the executive session.
Oh, that was my request. So
Yeah, that's.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think, I think it was just two different conversations then, and I can get with you and we can kind of discuss all of that as well. Yeah. Okay, so going back, does June 4th work? June 4th, next Tuesday? Okay, so we will go ahead and get that scheduled, an executive session for June 4th at 6 o'clock.
I just like to make a comment that I appreciated the input that we had tonight from the audience, and the fact that they're very carefully thought out and well expressed, and we hear it. And you can count on the fact that we share the same concerns and I think we're all in constant thought about the whole process and how we make next year as successful as we could possibly make it and as cohesive for everybody, staff, community. And we've got to be the light, right? So thank you for the time you took to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that as well. Any additional board share comments?
I would also say I appreciate seeing everyone here tonight and the input that we received. Again, keep bringing your ideas on, if you have any that you haven't heard us bring up or that haven't been brought up on what we can do to help, with everything going on. I'm open to hearing all of it, any of it. I want to see our district saving as much as we can, and I know we're all putting together as many ideas as we can think of, but all together, everyone that lives here, we're all a part of this district, and we all might have different ideas of what's going to make it work. And if we can work together, right, we can maybe address things and just keep rolling on positive and get our budget back you know, where it needs to be and, bring back our people that maybe not coming back at this time.
Thank you. Any additional board share?
I have one more comment to say, and I encourage everybody to encourage all the people that you meet who have children under 5 to ask them if they're registered, encourage them to register for schools so that we get our numbers up and we have a better idea of how many kids we've got coming in. And I know this is a big weekend in Shelton. There'll be a lot of people out. I wish we had flyers out that, you know, that we could get out to people to say this is really important to register. And it's so easy when you've got a younger child to wait until August and you don't think about those things. And then all of a sudden, August is upon you and maybe you don't have childcare and, you know, you haven't thought about it. And all of a sudden, you know, we're trying to make sure we've got enough teachers and everything in place. So this year in particular, help us beat the woods for those kids that we don't know about that should be registered.
Registration's open.
It's true, yeah.
And has been.
I believe you have a question. I want to make sure we get that addressed.
And it really has nothing to do with today's proceeding, but we're new. We haven't attended one of these meetings before. And you talk about executive session, you talk about study session, you talk about et cetera. Are those things the public is not invited to? What's the?
Studies, yeah, study sessions, you're welcome to come. That's an opportunity. We don't take any kind of actions on anything. We have an opportunity to talk, discuss things, go through, so, like have some of those more in-depth conversations like we were having tonight to just kind of understand where we're all at and get the information, more about information gaining for the board and an opportunity to discuss those things. An executive session is a private session that the public is not allowed to attend.
Yeah. Sorry, one last minute.
In the study session, we don't take public comment, correct?
Correct.
So you'd be observing what we're talking about and discussing, but we don't take public comment during study session.
Thank you for that.
And then one last question on the paperwork you guys were looking at in the agenda. It talked about the budget, is there a place to look at that ahead of time so we can be prepared to actually ask questions that I didn't know to look?
I know the agenda.
Does that get posted, Lynn?
Well, like on the last page, it was like, you're gonna talk about the calendar.
Yeah. Does that get posted, Lynn? Okay.
What would help us be better prepared to ask questions?
Post the link, posting the link. We can do that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I appreciate you bringing it up.
I would move to have the links added to the agenda for the public at this time.
Can we ad hoc add that? Yeah, we'd have to wait until after the study session.
But it'll get done.
Yeah.
It'll get done.
Thank you.
It won't take a motion to get that.
Okay, we'll just do it. Okay.
We'll do it.
So much needed.
As far as I know, it's not posted before meeting today at all, so it would totally be helpful. I looked, there was supposed to be a place to register. I registered back on April 23rd board meeting, I think is the place I registered, but it's not, the agenda is actually not posted at all for today. Yeah, I looked from, because it said online, it was supposed to be posted 24 hours before that, so I started to look at 6 last night, but it's not posted, just for what it's worth. I don't know if maybe it was like an error online or something like that, but I tried to print it off beforehand and to like register to speak because I know this link is like on the agenda on there.
Mhm.
So I just think, like I said, for April 23rd, that's the last one that's on the agenda.
Did you look in the news section on the homepage of the website?
Because I left over, it says the board and then it says meetings and agendas where all the other links are done. So it says like it has agendas and then minutes.
I went through this and it's usually in the news section when they post it. So look on that. Yeah.
Sorry.
I've been through that in the past. I remember asking that same question. At one time, like, where is it?
Yeah, I was just gonna print it out, trying to register to speak, so I just went to the last one, registered there, and I figured like you got it here, but yes, it's great. So you guys are here, it wasn't posted.
Yeah, there might be an opportunity for us to even double post it or whatever, so that it's in the.
Meeting, because it says like meetings, agenda and meetings, it's like an actual tab under the district board.
Yeah.
And that's where like all the other ones were listed. I would have never thought to look at news for that.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
I had the same question at one time. So.
Question in the back?
Yeah, it's part of time. I find it pretty interesting.
Can you come up front and speak on the speaker? Because I can't hear a word.
We're not discussed and possible solutions besides laying off critical staff. That's kind of disappointing, so.
Okay. Do we have any additional board chair items? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, and that adjourns this evening's meeting. Thank you.
You know what? If we don't use the mics the right way and we don't use them in the audience, I can't be on the board. I can't hear.
Can't hear.
If I can't hear, I can't participate.